Hey guys, today I'm going to give you my honest to God opinions of the new Avengers game, but first, check out this action figure I found at Target. It's the Batman Who Laughs. Has nothing to do with Avengers, but like, why we're getting action figures of this dude? This is freaking amazing. They also have these lines of toys that go with the Avengers game. They're the Gamerverse ones, but I can't find the classic costume. It's all the variation costumes fighting variation costumes of the villains. I don't understand it. I just want a set of the original costumes, and I couldn't even find Black Widow, which is my main in Avengers. So let's talk about my review of Avengers. How about that? Okay, so first up, I'm gonna lay this out piece by piece. And I also wanna let you know before we go into this review, I do work very closely with Square Enix for Final Fantasy games, and they sent me Avengers because I'm the Comicstorian. So I did receive a copy of Avengers from the company. I received early access to all of the betas, and I was able to play the game before it was even publicly available. I'm throwing this out there so that there's transparency. Okay, on top of that, I do stream this game frequently at twitch.tv/Comicstorian Gaming. Yes, it's a plug for my Twitch channel, but I want to let you know that I have an invested stake in the Avengers game beyond just playing the title. I also play Destiny 2 and Final Fantasy 14 if we're going to turn this into a plug anyway. But that's besides the point. Now, this is going to be an honest review, and I have a lot of complaints about the community, about the game, and about the state that it's in. But before we get into that, let's talk about the big thing most of you are going to care about. The story. I like to look at this story as 3 parts, okay? And Dan's doing a little squinty-eye thing at me right now. He's looking like, what? What are you talking about? Okay, first off, we have the Avengers portion. Secondly, we have the Kamala Khan portion. And secondly, we have the portions in which they force the multiplayer on you. Right out of the gate, I feel like they wanted to make a single-player Avengers game. But they wanted to work in the character of Kamala, and then someone at the higher up said, no, you can turn this into a Destiny-style game. So they had to force it in. So the bare bones plot, like the plot itself, if you're looking at it from an Avengers standpoint, is pretty much things we've seen all along. You know, Avengers come together, they're the greatest heroes, they disband over various things, they come back together, the Avengers you assume are going to fight with each other. You're going to see them ridden with guilt, you're going to see them dealing with the standard things we see in every major Avengers plot. That's not to say it's bad. The acting is incredible. I love the voice work that they do with each of the characters. I love the way that they act, but it is a little predictable. When things happened, I was like, oh, there's our insert expected scenes situation, okay? Oh, yeah, by the way, if you hadn't caught on, I'm not gonna give you any spoilers for the plot for obvious reasons. I don't need to give you my overall review. But yeah, so the overall Avengers portion of the plot is pretty expected, pretty predictable, but it's 100% enjoyable. The sections where I got to turn into Iron Man, I felt like I was Iron Man, and it was great. You get the standard Iron Man style music going, you get the Tony Stark throwing out his snarky comments moments. When you're the Hulk, you feel like the Hulk. You're punching guys, you're flinging them around. Every time I'm rapidly slamming a dude down, I just keep saying to myself, Loki, Loki, Loki. It's so much fun, okay? The second portion of the story element is the Kamala Khan element. Now, you could tell that they wanted to do a game about Kamala Khan, or Marvel wanted them to do a game about Kamala Khan, because the focal point of this game is Kamala Khan. She's the player's view of the Avengers. So while we get to be Iron Man, Hulk, you know, Thor, all these characters, the point of view that we get is from Miss Marvel, which is great because it's a unique take on a character that we've never seen before. She hasn't popped up too often. She's a brand new character in the Marvel Universe in the last 10 years. So while she has popped up here and there to kind of test the audience reaction to her, we've never seen her in a video game element. The way that she plays with the stretchy arms, it feels great. The way that she acts in the game is great. Her voice acting is incredible. Overall, my opinion of the game's plot itself is that it is great. The biggest complaints I have about the plot is that the Avengers portions are a little predictable. Also, the use of the Inhumans versus the mutants. You can 100% tell that this game, the plot was developed before they even knew the Fox deal was on the table, because the elements that they throw at the Inhumans all scream X-Men plot. Okay, this isn't your standard Inhumans plot. Like, we don't get Black Bolt, we don't get Medusa, we don't get Royal Family. Instead, we get the public being afraid of the Inhumans. We get the public trying to cure the Inhumans. We get, I'm not gonna spoil anything else because, but all I can say is it feels like an X-Men plot slapped on with the Inhumans, and this was their attempt to make the Inhumans the X-Men finally, before they decided the Inhumans aren't going to work and let's just we'll get, in our deal with Fox, we'll get the X-Men back. The third part of the plot that I don't like too much, and this is where I feel is weird. So they force the multiplayer elements on you, but very sparingly. So when you go through the main opening plot, you're gonna get what's going on with the Avengers and Kamala Khan. That's cool. When you get to the middle of the plot, you're going to unlock the war table. And what they ask you to do at that point is to run a couple of multiplayer style missions, which 100% halts the main plot. Because you're ramped up, you're enjoying it, you're recruiting the Avengers, you're getting them all back, you're learning how to use other moves, and then it's like, all right, now, we have to go and acquire a bunch of power cells. So here's war zones, here's how multiplayer works, here's how gearing works, here's how powering up works, but none of that matters at the end of the day. While the game has a bit of a challenge to it, you can't really fix it by power leveling out of it. It mostly scales to you. So yes, you can unlock a few more moves to make things a little easier, but the overall power creep it doesn't exist because I can be level 50 on my item level for Iron Man, and when I go do that difficult Iron Man mission, and most of you will know exactly what I'm talking about, they're all 50. So they're still gonna hit me just as hard. Yeah, I've got a few extra moves under my arsenal, but overall, it's still level 50. That's where I feel that the story has its big problem, the middle. The middle is where they're trying to not force, but they're trying to teach you how multiplayer works, okay? But I feel like they do it in almost like a half-assed attempt. I don't feel like it was needed at all, the way the plot was developing. I feel like we could have easily you didn't have to show me all the multiplayer. You could have just given me a couple of filler missions in the middle to lengthen out your game. Total length of the game, I've heard people say it takes them about 10 hours to get through. It took me about 10 hours because there were a few points that I had some problems with. But overall, it appears to be between like 7 to 10 hours if you're casually going through the game that you're going to be getting through it. So that is the first part. That's out of the way. We've talked about the story. Now let's talk about the multiplayer element. The gameplay as a whole is a lot of fun. It depends on how you're going to look at this type of a game. Okay, first off, it's a 4-player multiplayer game. You pick one of the Avengers, there's no doubling up, and you go into repeated missions. You go into war zones, where you're basically gonna go stand on a point and let them oh, I'm conquering the point, there we go. You're gonna go in and kill a target, you're gonna go in and fight a boss, or you're going to go into like a long form style mission. Now, there appears to be a couple styles of mission. There's what I like to call the Destiny Strike mentality, where they're gonna drop you at the beginning of the mission and they're gonna say, you gotta go to this point and everything around you is open to do whatever you want. And there's loot and there's extra things to go for and stuff like that. And I call that a Destiny Strike. You're running from point A to point B, but there's some stuff to do. There's the farming level where it'll be like you're in a hallway, here's a couple batches of monsters, boss at the end, and you can be out of this in 5 minutes. And then you're gonna go into the pseudo open world style maps. Those are traditionally like the Vault World maps. They'll drop you in the middle of a giant map and you'll see an objective, or you have to find an objective, and there will be like 5 to 10 additional objectives across the map you can go run as a team. For the most part, I had a blast with all of these, but I will say if you're trying to do it alone, it gets very boring, very repetitious fast. But that's not a stab at the Avengers game. Any multiplayer game, in my opinion, that is built for multiplayer with the intention of me getting on with my friends and I'm gonna pick Captain America and you're gonna be Iron Man and you're gonna be Hulk and we're gonna go destroy things and we're gonna chat and we're gonna have a great time, is always going to be boring when I play it alone. Borderlands, one of the most premier, this game's an amazing multiplayer experience, I can't stand alone. I play Destiny frequently, and outside of running like 30 minutes of dailies, I don't play it alone. You can take as a grain of salt. I enjoy it with friends. I don't know if you're gonna enjoy it alone as a multiplayer game. Single player you're gonna love, it's great for doing it by yourself. But multiplayer is intended to be played with friends. The actual gameplay itself, each character, they all feel kind of similar at the beginning. You have a light attack, you have a heavy attack, you have a super. You're gonna spam, combo spam, combo spam. It's a beat 'em up game, guys. I don't know what people were expecting from a beat 'em up game. Batman Arkham, the most revered beat 'em up game, is pretty much the same thing. But you know what's great about Batman Arkham? As you level up Batman and unlock new abilities, new things are in your arsenal to play with. That's exactly what you do with the Avengers characters. My Black Widow at the beginning of the game has basic pistols and she has a lightning strike I can throw out. But as I level up, I can change that over to a lightning punch, put out a Desert Eagle, shoot things from across the map, go invisible for the entire time of the map. It's just like every other multiplayer style game. It's structured like Destiny. You level the characters, you go in and you level up your item level, and you level up your abilities. You're leveling all these things up. So as you get towards the end of the game, you now have a Captain America that can fling his shield like it's a yo-yo constantly. You have a Black Widow that can go invisible permanently, or have fully charged up guns that can heal you. You can turn into Iron Man and shoot rockets and lasers, or just a repulsor blast. All these things end up in your arsenal, which give a large variation to each of the characters. As they level, they feel different. That's my opinion. If you don't like beat 'em up games, then you're going to say, no, they all feel the same. A great example I've been using with people is a lot of people love Devil May Cry, but when you start Devil May Cry, all the characters in Devil May Cry feel the same. As you unlock more abilities for each of the characters in Devil May Cry 5, they all start to turn into different characters. Nero's arm can go farther and he can throw people. Dante has insane combos. I forget Emo Boy's name, but Emo Boy can summon a bunch of little animals to go do things. I didn't like his gameplay. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. As a multiplayer game, it's a blast. The variations on the missions, they're a little repetitive, but I mean, we're at the very beginning of a live service game. They've already talked about Wakanda. They've already talked about new shield bases. We've already talked about Hawkeye missions and stuff like that coming out. So I'm expecting as this game grows, the missions are going to feel very different as they're going. We also already have an exotic for each character to go farming. We also have an exotic mission you can go run, and we have a bottomless dungeon you can go do that gets increasingly harder as you go. So there is some endgame to do, but nothing tremendous at the moment. Which brings me to my endgame discussion. Right now in Avengers, that's it. You pretty much are going to level your characters, you're going to work on costumes, and you're going to work on each of these exotics to farm, and you're going to work on the quest exotic. That is where we stand right now. Now, there is a Hive mission, which I've very briefly touched so far, mostly because most of my friends aren't high enough to do it with me. From what I understand, it is a progressively difficult multi-floored dungeon where you just keep going further and further down. The little attempt I had at it was a lot of fun. We did a 5-floor version of it. But that's where we're at right now. There's already talks about the raid. There's already talks about where we're going to be going next, what's going to be happening. But it feels like right now the game is intended for us to farm these few exotics and to level up our characters. Now let's go to the complaints. First off, the single player is mostly good. There are some buggy areas. I've had to restart 2 or 3 times throughout it. The crashes happen frequently. I will state, when you do crash, the game is saving constantly. So if I crash mid-mission, whatever loot I got and whatever leveling I got mostly stays with me. There is a corrupted save issue, which I think they have fixed, but one of our friends already dealt with that once. Crashes are the biggest problem that I'm having with it on PC. We literally tried to stream it the other night at twitch.tv/Comicstorian Gaming. We tried to stream it the other night and we couldn't complete more than one mission because it was a chain mission, meaning everyone had to complete it to go to the next one, but someone always crashed in the mission to the point where we just changed games. We didn't have an option, we went to Destiny. So I do feel, as much as I am loving this game and as much fun as I'm having with this game, between the crashes, the corrupted saves, the relocking of costumes, it definitely needed like another month or 2 of beta. Matchmaking just got fixed. That's a big thing that we need in a game that is called The Avengers, about teaming up with friends. That just got fixed. I will say Crystal Dynamics seems to be very vocal about the bugs they're finding and fixing them ASAP. So I'm really loving that. But right this second, it is having issues. It doesn't feel optimized for the PC. I had a lot of frame drop issues during the storyline. In order to fix that, I turned off the AMD fidelity, and I also had to reduce the graphics way down, which I shouldn't have to do on my computer. It's a powerhouse. It does feel like it came out a little early, but it is playable. It is enjoyable. You'll have a lot of fun with it. Most of us have just kind of pushed through the bugs and the crashes. We haven't had any game-breaking bugs that make us we can't play. So we may have to redo a mission or whatever, but you're used to that if you're grinding up, stuff like that. The marketplace, which apparently is the big contention a lot of people have. Yes, it's expensive, but comparing it to games like Destiny, Division, all these online service games, I don't see any difference. It's the standard thing of like, it's $10 for an emote, it's $10 for a costume, $14 for a finishing move. Yeah, it's expensive, don't buy them. The game actually has a ton of in-game costumes to unlock and a ton of stuff to unlock in the game. So they're not focused that heavily on their marketplace right now, but it's definitely there. It's definitely already expensive. The biggest complaint I'm having with this overall Avengers game community right now is I hear more people complaining about the prices in the marketplace, which to me just screams like, where have you been? For 10 years, games have been doing this stuff. This is not new. Fortnite charges you $15 a costume. Destiny's charging you $15 for a costume. Where have you been? I forget what game it was, but apparently I didn't even know I did it, but I spent like $30 on some costume and stuff. Oh, Black Desert Online. I spent $30 on a bikini outfit because it gave me the ability to swim and breathe underwater. No other costume did that. So people who work out, I get it. It doesn't make the pricing right, but get over it. I am so tired of, oh my God, it's got a marketplace. We need to stop it from selling cosmetics. Get over it. What we need to be complaining about are the game-breaking bugs, about the game crashing, about the frame rate drop. That's what we need to be complaining about. Getting more Endgame, getting more stuff to do. That's what we should be complaining about. Shut up about a $15 costume in 2020. I feel like at this point, people are complaining about it because it's just the thing to do. Like, and you know what? I'm also really sick and tired of this argument of, well, it's a $60 game. All of my costumes should be in it. That's how it used to be. Right, used to be. It's 2020. That is not new at this point, okay? Not new at all. It is all over the place. Single player games out the wazoo are charging you another $20 as a collector's edition where you get a costume, kids. Oh, give us another $100 for the super pack of Call of Duty and you too can get a weapons skin. Like, come on. This is not the first game to do it, and I'm so tired of everybody complaining about it. Like, it's not going away. You complaining is not going to make Avengers wake up and go, that's right, we shouldn't do live transactions in our live service game. You're 100% correct. Yeah, put them all in the game, and that's that. We're gonna be the game that leads the way, folks. Destiny, Fortnite, get on our level. That's not happening, okay? That's not happening. It's not going away. All you can do is complain and moan, and now I'm complaining and moaning about you complaining and moaning. It's a vicious cycle, folks. The other thing I want to talk about is the challenge cards, aka the Battle Pass. People are also complaining about that. So the way that works is, I don't like it, but it's I guess it's an okay system. This is the last thing I'm really going to bring up about the game in general, but the challenge card system is they're giving us the character for free. The challenge card is $10. All of the initial 6 starter characters you're getting for free with the challenge card. The challenge card, and I didn't realize this for like 3 days, does not level up from playing the game. You have to do very specific objectives to complete the challenge card levels. What this does is time gates you to complete your battle pass. Now, I did the math on it, and if you do every weekly and every daily for 26 days, you will complete the challenge card. I don't know if I like or dislike that system because I'm the kind of guy that gets on a game and plows through a battle pass. I'm level 291 on Destiny. I started Fortnite 2 weeks ago, came back to Fortnite after like 5 years or whenever that game came out. Like whenever it came out, I came back like 2 weeks ago and I am level 57 on the battle pass. My Call of Duty battle pass is just capped and I don't even know what level I am, okay? So I'm the kind of guy that plows through a battle pass. So I don't know if I like the idea of a time-gated battle pass, but at least it's time-gated. When I did the math, it was about 26 to 28 days to do the whole thing. So it's not terrible. I just wish I could just plow through it. I'm playing a ton of Avengers right now. It'd be nice to be like, I've unlocked everything. I also wish they'd make it more obvious that they're going with a different system, but they're not. That's fine. So overall, from my biased opinion on the situation, I feel like the game did come out too early. But I do feel the game is great. I do feel like it's in a workable state that we can play with it. To me, it feels very much like Destiny 1 at launch. It's buggy, it's got issues, but what is there? If you're a fan of Destiny-style gameplay, you're a fan of beat-em-ups, you're a fan of the Avengers, you're gonna love this game. Especially if you've got a usual crew that you roll with in co-op games. It's a great game. I'm having a great time with it. It did come out too early. It is buggy. The marketplace, it's egregious as always. It's always egregious in every game. Give me a game that sells costumes cheap, then we can talk about reducing the prices, but whatever, I don't care. If you want the costume, get it. I don't even think the costumes in the marketplace are that nifty right now. A lot of the other ones like Joe Fixit and things like that, you can get them in the game. Yes, it takes a ton of grinding, but they're all in the game. The ones in the marketplace aren't even like, they're cool, but they're not that cool. The only one I think I bought was Black Widow's because it's like a hoodie and she's got her hair in a bun. And I don't know why, but I bought it. So anyway, yeah, so that's it. That's my opinion on Marvel's Avengers. This is from a guy who literally reads and talks about comic books with his entire life and plays looter shooter live service games religiously. So yeah, hope you guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below and we'll talk about it more because it's gonna be on this channel a lot. I'll tell you that right now. We're gonna do a lot of gameplay. We're gonna have a lot of goofy times. We're gonna talk about the game a lot. We're gonna talk about its state a bit. This is going to be like the primary thing going on with Comicstorian Gaming is Marvel's Avengers, Destiny, and Final Fantasy over on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/Comicstorian Gaming. And here on the main channel, we're probably going to try to rotate something Avengers at least every other week, probably weekly, talking about various things within Avengers. If you want to know more about the comic book lore and somehow you came across this video and don't know who I am, check out my other channel, Comicstorian. Been around for a while. We talk about comic books out the wazoo. Probably too much. Thank you for your time. I'll see you next time.